love governing all existence. I knew that wherever there was lack, there would eventually be fulfillment, even as waters flow to fill a lake. And where there's misery, there would be joy, because it was the nature of the universal to move into any living thing in need and to bring fulfillment and joy. I knew that where there was no growth, circumstances would arise to promote the growth. I knew that where there was a sense of failure, challenges would be provided to spur people into success and self-confidence. I saw that this love work, constantly initiated by the Father in the lives of overburdened people, might not be recognized as a gift of love by the recipients. They might be so sunk in their apathy, feelings of failure, their belief that nothing good could ever come their way. They would fail to see anything in their lives beyond their own beliefs and feelings, and hence they would remain rooted in their own self-created hell. There was no need to feel sorry for anyone. The only need was a compassionate heart and a determination to bring truth to heal their ignorance. The greatest gift a man could give to another was the enlightenment of the ignorance of existence and its cosmic laws. For the truth was, every single soul was embraced within the universal, and the degree of universal input via the Father love work in their lives depended entirely on the individual's receptivity. I realized that what people needed urgently to hear was what I had just been told. They needed to see and fully realize the intention and the purpose and the potential of love, which was the very substance of their being. Because of their disbelief, they might cast the Father love work aside as being more pain-inducing challenges and thus lie down in their failure forever. I now saw even more clearly. I was sent to awaken people to all the possibilities for self-development, prosperity, and the achievement of joy and happiness, but it would be up to them to wake up and take advantage of what was offered to them. And as he became aware of this, if you have the book, that was page 66, 67 in Christ Returns, Speaks His Truth. If you've experienced the deep connection that you can have with the divine, where you feel the love, it's pouring in, your brain probably all lit up, and you're like, where's that light coming from? And you're like, oh, it's coming from inside me, that's neat. When you experience this, and when you're in this, and you understand the nature of the universe, and you understand that where there is a lack, there can be fulfillment. And where there is sickness, there can be health, and it is just waiting to meet that need and to fulfill that need. And typically the only waiting that is required is for us to step out of our own way. Now, I've noticed with a lot of clients, and I would say that this is probably almost the case almost 100% of the time. When somebody comes in and they're really upset, and it's about forgiveness, maybe that they're resentful or something towards somebody else, and it's like, oh, have you forgiven this person? No, I haven't yet. The person that they're truly actually mad at is themselves for allowing whatever happened to happen. They blame themselves, and they get mad at themselves for staying so long, or they get mad at themselves for not standing up and sticking up and saying something and speaking up for themselves, or whatever it happens to be that they're angry about. But it typically appears as though it's outward. But when we get to the roundaboutness of it, it always comes back to the self. And so what we can know is everything revolves around the self. We do know this, because what you experience in your inner world is reflected in your outer world, because we're made of the same substance as your consciousness is made of. Everything that you visibly see is made of the same substance. And so all you're seeing around you is a reflection of the inner world. And so why does this matter? This matters exponentially because what you are witness to, what you are seeing outside of yourself, can give you clues and inklings as to what inside perhaps needs to shift. Maybe there's a belief, maybe there's a pattern, maybe there's something, which all of these things are just attached to certain beliefs. But as you identify and you recognize them, then you can begin to pull the weeds of hell out of your consciousness, and then you will stop experiencing the hell in your outer world because it's no longer in your inner world. But when we believe that there's lack and we cannot see any possible way to bring fulfillment into it, what should we do? Sit and meditate and ask, how can this need be met? Now, dear consciousness, Father, divine love, I know you provide all the needs. I know that there's nothing that you cannot do, and that where you see a need, you immediately begin the work to fulfill that need. I understand that somewhere inside of me I have been blocking that need being met and being fulfilled. Please illuminate me to the root cause of this issue. And as you sit there in meditation, things will come to you. You might think, oh, I'm making that up. Oh, I'm this. It doesn't matter, man. If you think you're making it up, it still doesn't matter. Your mind is going to tell you all kinds of things that you need to know. And if you think or you guess or you think, well, maybe it's this, you're right, it is. And you're the only one that knows your mind. You're the only one that can get in your head and tell you these things. Other people can certainly help you, but you're the only one that really knows. And so if you sit there and you say that little prayer and you're like waiting, okay, resolve this area for me, and you believe with sincerity and without any doubt that your issue will be resolved, it will be resolved. Maybe it won't be that very second, maybe it won't be that very minute, maybe it will. Maybe a solution or an answer will just come to you. Maybe it will knock on your door. I've heard people say, I feel like this needs to be mentioned because I hear people say it so often. Well, nobody's just going to knock on your front door and bring you this. You know what, man? They can. Anything could happen. But if you don't believe that'll happen, then it won't happen. But if you really, truly believe that somebody's going to come and knock on your front door and give you the solution to your problems, they will, man. If you believe anything, in anything, without any doubt, Christ said, have faith. Right? He didn't say, have faith in me. He didn't say, have faith in this over here. He said, have faith. And when you have faith, you have it. Because if you had doubt, you would have that. You wouldn't have faith. So he's saying have faith without any doubt, because that's the only kind of faith that you can have. And so you know, because you've experienced things in your life that are unexplainable, except for using mysticism as the explanation, and then it all makes total sense. When that one night you heard that strange thing, you saw that strange thing, you heard this voice that told you good job, you whatever it was, everybody's got some kind of story that they can't quite explain, and that sometimes they think about it and they're like, yeah, man, maybe I'm crazy. No, you're not, man. There's a whole world out there that you can't actually see with your eyeballs. But you know what? Some of us can actually see it with our eyeballs. And when you begin to see this world that is invisible to many, you might begin to think you're a little bit crazy, but you're not. You're finally seeing the truth. You finally unveiled what you had put a veil over top of. You could have a table and it's just covered with like 17 different tablecloths, right? Because depending on your mood, you're like, I like this one. Oh, we got guests coming over. This is the theme. Oh, we got this one. And you got all these table coverings. And each one of them is beautiful. And each one of them is, appropriate depending on the occasion. And each one can be, very useful, protects the table, does all kinds of things. But at some point you realize, hey man, I don't even know what the actual table looks like. And at some point you got that table because you really liked it. You got it because it looked really nice. You're like, ooh, something about that table. And then to protect it, you covered it up. and you covered it up, and you covered it up, and you covered it up, and you covered it up. But here's the thing. Sure, the table underneath is immaculate. It's in perfect condition, just like you are. Just like that beaming, beautiful soul of yours is in immaculate condition. It's perfect. And because there's actually no such thing as sin, and this is a man-made concept that people use to, denigrate other people in a way of just explaining normal human behavior, but saying, oh, this is right and this is wrong. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what you'll do. Your soul will still remain that beautiful, perfectly in wonderful condition table underneath all those cloths that you've covered up. But I say all that to say this: when people go in and they discover the root of their problem, the root of their problem is always them, and it's them standing in their own way. When you go deep into the subconscious mind, into the soul mind, into the truthful mind, and you go really deep and you look in there and you say, who has it been this whole entire time that's been standing in your way? And you might say, oh, well, it's my mom or my dad or my sister or my brother or my friend or this person or my ex-partner or this person. And you might think it's everybody but you, but it's not. The only person that's standing in your way, directly in front of you, blocking you from moving forward, is you most of the time. And so when you can even just visualize yourself stepping out of your own way, all of a sudden things begin to change, right? Why? Because the only reason we're standing in our way is because we think that for some reason we're protecting ourselves, right? Oh, this thing happened this one time, let's protect ourselves. Let me give you an example here. So let's say that this is how the mind works. This is the science behind forgiveness and why you remember those hurtful, horrible things. Let's say you're a little kid and somebody says something to you and they're real mean. And they're like, oh, you got the ugliest shoes I've ever seen. And you're like, what? Oh, my shoes are ugly. Oh, no. And your feelings are hurt because you're a little kid. Well, what's going to happen if this actually happened to you? You're going to remember where you were. You're going to remember who said it. You are going to remember what the weather was like. You are going to remember all kinds of details about this day. Why? Is it because they were right and your shoes are ugly? No. It's because your brain is trying to protect you from ever being in a circumstance like that ever again. So it's like, okay, when things are like this and like this and like this, and this person's around and these colors are present and this or that, you better watch out. We don't want to get insulted, and so your mind sets all these things up which are actually harming you and hurting you. They think they're doing you a favor by protecting you from having this happen again, but they're really just causing internal suffering and grief. But because that happens in that way, well, what happens in the future? Well, now you're real careful with what shoes you wear. Now you're real careful about talking to that person who was mean to you. Now you're doing things different than you were before that incident happened. And why did this happen? All because your brain thought it would just protect you. Like, oh, if I just keep reminding you of that terrible thing, then you're not going to put yourself in a situation for that to happen again. But is it helpful? No, it's not. But your brain, your human brain, just happens to work that way. So, well, we got to overcome it because the brain's not trained enough to be able to let the past stay in the past. It wants to keep it in the present. You know that. When you think about a memory from the past, it is as if you were there right now. It brings back all the emotions. It brings back absolutely everything. You might as well be in that situation again. And some people, mistakenly, they don't even know that they're doing it, will allow that to happen to them every single day. Get dragged back to something in childhood and they're resentful about it, and what happens in that time? You are putting yourself back in that exact same frequency, that exact same state. You are creating more of it within your internal self, which you're going to see in your external world. And eventually, if you continue to do this day after day after day, think of these resentful thoughts or these angry thoughts or these, oh, I'm hard done by, oh, I can't speak up for myself. If I say this is going to happen, that's going to happen. As soon as we have this internal conflict and battle inside of us, it depletes the necessary life force energy that is meant to be in our energy field. But instead we waste it, we send it out through worry, planting it all kinds of places out there that we're going to harvest again in the future. But then it is no longer part of our energy. We've given it out. It's out. It's planted. It's not in our energy anymore. This is why, so many spiritually enlightened beings spend so much time in meditation, because they want to keep all that energy to themselves. because they want to be able to help people, heal people, do all the kinds of things. And if your energy is spread out here, there, and everywhere with resentment and anger and sadness and grief and this and that, you can't use that energy for anything other than those things that you're already using it for. And so to heal those things is the number one thing. You got to heal those things so that they're not pulling on you, because they're there for a reason. They're not just there to torture you. Not at all. They are there for you to step into your power. Now, I know for myself, when I was, doing so much personal work, which of course that never ends, but at the start of it, when I started opening things up, man, I started feeling things I had never felt before in my life. And I was like, dang, why did I do this? This was a mistake. Why would I open up things like this that are now making me feel things that are actually really terrible? And I was kind of concerned, like, why would I open this up? But then on the other side of it, it was like, oh, but now I'm experiencing emotions that are so wonderful that I had never experienced before. I was always just fine. And I really honestly believed I was. Just a happy demeanor, smile, I'd laugh, nothing bothered me. It was just always just good. I was just good. And I really truly believed that I was just good, and I was operating on that level. And then when I started to go in and do the deep work and pull out the things that, man, it sucked. I got to tell you, it sucked. For a long time, it really did. You bring these things up that were just difficult to deal with, and I have to explore all that. And then there was regret of, oh, I just feel so terrible. I've never felt this terrible in my life. Why would I do this? Why would spiritual things be like this? But through every little tiny step of that was healed, I called my power back to myself. That's what happened. You bring your power back. And so even when you go back to, like, let's just say a past life or something like this, you go back, you step into a past life, you realize what was done, what did you do, who were you, all these things. There's so many layers to all this because you've played all the parts, you've done all the things. That's why we can't judge anybody, because you've been there, man. You did that too. You've lived that life because you needed to know what that was like. Because we're all just playing everybody's roles here, which is why we shouldn't judge, which is why we shouldn't criticize, because everybody's just learning. It's as if you're looking around and everybody's here in kindergarten. Every single one of us are just here in kindergarten, just exploring, living life, not knowing. And another reason not to judge, I look back on my life, and yeah, I was a drug addict when I was younger. Addicted to cocaine and Jack Daniels. And had I not gone through that, had that not been a part of my journey, I wouldn't understand what those people are going through. I wouldn't have compassion, because I wouldn't know how hard it is to deal with it, to get off of it, to do all the things around it. And I see that it was such a necessary part of my journey. So am I going to judge somebody else who is addicted to something else? No way, man. This part of their process. Is it going to be the rest of their life? I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be. Probably won't be. They'll probably overcome that, and they'll take their power back where they were leaking it out too. But there's no point in judging anybody for anything, because we've all done it. We've all played that role. And if people are suffering in some way like that, they're just in lack. They're just in some kind of lack. And wherever there is lack, there will eventually be fulfillment, even as waters flow to fill a lake. But it is through the unawareness. Often it's like this. Let's say that there's a river and it's just winding around and it's dammed up. It's like, oh, and so then the river starts spilling out all over places where it's not supposed to be, because it got all dammed up. And somebody's like, well, what the heck is going on here? Like, this doesn't look quite right. But until they become aware that their river's dammed up and they remove the blockages so that it can flow freely again, it's going to be a bit of a mess. But if they don't even know that their river's dammed up, then they're going to be in chaos and they're not going to know why. And so perhaps sometimes in our lives we have these blocks. And we're like, why? Why is this one area not working? But I want you to even think about that feeling of, why isn't this working? Why? Why is it just this one area? And if that was an energy, which it is an energy, that feeling, would you want to harvest that again? No. So look at the area where you're lacking and think, thank you, thank you. Thank you that this is lacking. because I know that this is going to teach me something great and wonderful. And once I become aware of why it's lacking, I'm going to be able to pull some power back into myself that I was unaware that I didn't possess. And so thank you for illuminating me to the blocks, to the things that I've been believing that have been harmful and hurtful to me. And as you meditate in this way and you just ask for clarity, one thing a day, man. Like, we don't got to do it all, right? We want it all done today, right? All of us do. I do, you do, we all do, everybody wants it done. But if we just do one thing a day, 2 years from now, that's over 700 changes that will have been made. 700 things that you will have been made aware of, 700 things that you could work through easily, 700 things that you can do you even have 700 things to do? Well, I'll bet you do, because I do too. But they become little, they become different, they become so changed. The more that you heal these big things that you're like, okay, man, if I could just heal this thing. Everybody's got that thing, right? Man, if I could just do this, I'd be there. Well, you know what? You will heal that thing, and then you'll be there. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, there's this thing too. Okay, there's this little thing too. But all these little baby things are going to feel like absolutely nothing compared to that thing that you overcame, that you really overcame, and you took your power back. And I'm not saying we want our power so we can lord it over other people. I'm saying you want your natural state of power, which is you not standing in your way, standing in the divine light, so that when you ask for something, it is given. Because you believe it will be, and you receive it because you don't have any doubt that's attached to it. And as you begin to cleanse your mind to the point where this is your outcome, all you're going to want to do is tell everybody how you're doing it. All you're going to want to do is share the good news, because you're going to look around and you're going to notice it, and you're going to see the suffering in people's faces. You're going to see the suffering in people's bodies, and you're just going to think, man, I know the secrets. I know the secrets. Why are they secrets? Man, they can't be secrets anymore. And you're going to want to shout it from the rooftop, and you're going to want to tell everybody, hey, man, you're making yourself suffer. And people don't like to hear that, I'll tell you that much. But it's the truth, and when they can understand it so deeply, there's so many layers that go to it, including karma from past lives and all these things that need to come out, and all these previous agreements and these things that we've decided, hey, I'm going to come here and I'm going to learn this time. I'm going to really learn forgiveness. Okay, well, what has to happen then? Somebody's really got to hurt you, man. That's what's got to happen. But because you wanted that when you came here and you agreed to that, and you're like, okay, this is part of my process this time. Maybe that's not part of your process this time. This is part of mine. Well, what has to happen? Well, people got to hurt you. And so then you realize at some point, there's actually nothing to forgive. This was predestined. I wanted this. And then when you realize that, then the lessons learned, and people stop hurting you. Everything becomes easy because you got what you came here for this go round. So this is what I got here for you guys here today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you all. We got a bunch of retreats coming up. The only spaces that we have left is, I think we got a space left in Bali. That is at the end of September. If you are curious about that, you want that, the bottom link that I will post in here has immersive experiences attached to it, and you can look and check out the one that says Bali on it. You can check that out. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys here today. Check me out on Transformation Talk Radio. Got a show on there a couple of days a month. Anyways, love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.